Hello, thank you for joining our webinar, How to Comply with ISO 9001 in a Digital World. My name is Kevin Devecioglu, and I am the Managing Director of Bimser International. Today we are with Alex Kvatirov. He is the President of Emirates Consulting Company, and Alex is a certified ISO 9001 auditor. And we'll be talking about ISO 9001 and how to comply in a digital world. As a start, I'd like to share a brief introduction of our company, Bimser International, with you, and then I'll hand it over to Alex for him to address fundamentals of ISO 9001. As Bimser International, we are an enterprise software maker since 1998. We are based in New York. We believe in simplicity, and we help companies digitally transform their manual and analog operations. As Bimser International, we have global presence. We are also active in Europe, while we are headquartered in New York, in North America. Bimser is backed by European Bank, started last year. So with the help of European Bank, we have more visibility in international markets. Bimser is an ISO 9001 certified company. Also, we are ISO 271 certification. I also need to mention that we are a certified partner of Acumatica, Cloud ERP, certified partner of Microsoft, and certified partner of SAP ERP system as well. In addition to Acumatica, Microsoft, and SAP, we are very close to Sage as well as Oracle ERP ecosystems. This is our product range, and this is our specialty since 1988. We have a product called EBA. EBA is our workflow and document management system. It helps companies digitize and automate processes that they run on paper or on Excel work type of unstructured environments. So that's an electronic business automation platform. BIM is an enterprise level asset and maintenance management system. It helps companies manage their plant maintenance, facilities maintenance, as well as energy management operations. QDMS is a quality, risk, and compliance management system. It helps companies comply with various standards in digital environments, such as ISO 9001, ISO 14001, SQF, and more. And finally, we have Ensemble as a business process management tool. In addition to these four main products we have also contract management solutions running on EBA platform, as well as ITSM solution running on EBA platform as well. On this slide, you can see how we position our products. Ensemble is a managerial tool. EBA for workflow and document management. QDMS for quality management. BIM for asset and maintenance management. They simply automate processes. All of our products are ready to run standalone as an independent software. They also integrate with ERP, CRM, and other applications available at our client's location. Our products run on cloud, they run on on-premise servers, and we have mobile apps available. So we have up-to-date technology. On this slide, you can see how many clients we have worldwide. It also shows how many projects that we have delivered globally. As you can tell, we have close to 2,000 customers worldwide, and that number is going higher and higher every single month. Let me give you more information, some information about our customers. As you see, we have very reputable customers globally. And we work with 3M in 17 different countries. We work with Henkel, we work with Ford. We work with Baxter, Bridgestone, Bosch, Godiva Chocolate, H&M, Goodyear. Also, we work with KFC, Mitsubishi, LG, United Nations, Starbucks, and Unilever is some of our references that I like to share with you. So in a nutshell, that's who we are and what we do. Now I'd like to hand it over to Alex. Alex Kvatirov is the president of Emirates Consulting Company, as I mentioned earlier. And he's a certified ISO 9001 auditor. Now I'd like to hand it over to Alex for him to address fundamentals of ISO 9001. As we all need to know and learn a lot about ISO 9001 nowadays to improve our qualities, improve our processes, as well as increase customer satisfaction. Alex, would you like to take it from here? Thank you.
Yeah, next slide. Okay, talk about the plan, do, check, act, which is called PDCA cycle. What are the milestones in achieving ISO implementation? And then we'll address also, what does it take to maintain ISO certification? Then I'll introduce very briefly the QDMS tool and how it can support and assist an organization in um, carrying out all of the ISO 9000 functions and also improve the internal process and improvements to achieve the ultimate goal within your organization. And then I'll conclude with a summary. Okay, next slide. So, what is the ISO standard? It was originated in 1987. The International Organization for Standardization, that's what ISO really means, had met with members from 91 nations and adopted the ISO 9000 series of standards. And in 94, the series was updated to an ANSI ISO ASQ standard, and the US companies were able to become certified to this standard. About 20 years ago, the ANSI ASQ National Accreditation Board, or ANAB, was formed to provide accreditation to certification bodies or registrars, which we're normally referred to, who in turn have the authority to grant ISO certification to individual companies. And of course, now ISO 9000 is used throughout the world. Recently, there are many more ISOs that have been, organized. There's probably more than 20 by now, each one dealing in specific areas. Some of the common ones are ISO 14001 for environmental management. The automotive industry has its own ISO. AS 9100 is used for aerospace. ISO 13485 for medical devices, and it goes on and on and on and on. But the important point that I want to make is that ISO 9001 is kind of the parent for all of the other ISOs, and if you look at the structure, the organization, all the other ISOs, about 80% is really contained in what ISO 9001 has. So basically, all of the other ISOs have been upgraded, modified to meet the ISO 9001 standard. Okay, next slide, please. So what is talked about the quality management system, QMS, and so what really is it? Okay, it's basically it's a set of documents which includes processes, procedures, policies, and records. Okay? So let me just quickly describe what a process is. And process really is a sequence of activities that uses inputs to deliver an intended output. So as an example, production process has several steps which must be conducted in an appropriate sequence. So you have inputs in this process, and those would be raw materials. You will have product specifications and work instructions to really take this raw material and then create a product, which is an output. Now, this is obviously a very top-level description, and and it's part of a normal manufacturing company. There are a lot of processes, and obviously they all have to be integrated, interact properly in order to become more efficient. Now, procedure is a refined way to execute an activity or process. So it's kind of a lower level than a process. A policy is established both internally within the organization, or it's imposed by an external regulatory agency. But again, it's part of the process that you, it's part of the inputs that you need to start developing your development activities. So the important thing is the quality management system has to be specifically address the needs of the products or services that the organization provides. And it should be tailored to, again, your services for the products. Now, one thing I want to point out is, the records. What are the records? Records is really all the data associated with developing the product or the service. And data is very important, not only to satisfy the ISO requirements, but it is also very critical to be utilized in making very planned and organized decisions on what to do, how to improve your processes, and in general, continue your process improvement. And this is kind of leads a utilization of the records in an organized way will lead to a lean, and also be a kind of a precursor process. I think we'll come back to the use of records later on because I think it's a very important part of managing your data. All right, next slide, please. All right, those are the 7 principles of quality management. Obviously, customer focus. The purpose is of your business is to focus on the customer needs. So, in other words, make the customer happy, deliver on time at the product that he wants. Leadership is obviously very important because leadership basically manages the whole organization and maintains the quality, internal quality and the process improvement that is required to become the competitive. Engagement of the people. This is very important because people have to be engaged, so they have to understand the requirements, the ISO requirements from the top, but so it's a top-down process as well as a bottom-up process because the people involved in some of the processes know exactly what the details are, and they should provide inputs on how to improve those processes. So next one is process approach, which we already talked about what it is, and it's very important to establish processes within the entire organization that are consistent with each other, and which really drives, again, your lean process to be more efficient. Improvement is the cornerstone of ISO. You have to look at how to improve the organization. And this is all based on data that you are collecting as part of doing. Again, the next step, the evidence-based decision making is, again, the decisions that are being made are not just being pulled out of the air, but they should be based on, again, the data that you acquired and through analysis determine what decisions should be made to either correct problems or make improvements in your processes. The last item of relationship management, I think it's important to understand that management does not strictly deal with managing the organization, but it has to be involved with the customers, with the suppliers, with the regulatory organizations, and it's all encompassing. So this is important for management to realize that it is their responsibility to look at the entire picture. Okay, next slide, please. All right, why is really ISO good for the organization? And obviously there's many reasons. We already talked about to improve customer satisfaction, because a satisfied customer will always come back and spread the word, the good word about the company. So the goal is to deliver quality product on time. So that's the key goal there. Now, even though ISO does not directly deal with managing the finances, however, if ISO implementation is properly executed, there will be an increase in revenue and profitability because you become more efficient, you get more orders for customers, and this is how your business will grow, become more profitable. Next is enhance your credibility and image. Once you're ISO certified, then customers and the whole community knows that you have at least an internal process, that you have met minimal requirements to meet the requirements of ISO, and that generally your products will be of better quality, more and less, will have less defects. Now, some customers actually would not even place orders with a company without the company having the ISO. And as I mentioned before, will improve your decision-making process, because now it will be based on real data that is obtained from various parts of your processes. And that's why if you're looking at each individual process and looking at the data, now you can focus on each process and say, well, how can I make improvements to that particular process? And this continuous improvement, it's a culture that you develop. It becomes automatic. It doesn't really have to be forced on. Like I said, that has to work both ways, up and down. In other words, management will have to enforce this culture, as well as it has to come from bottom up, from the workers, because they really know the details of the processes that they're involved in. Okay. And of course, as a result, efficiency will increase. And again, like I said, this is a kind of a precursor to both the lean and the 5S process. So, but ISO kind of establishes the guidelines for that. And of course, the very important aspect is to improve the integration of all the processes. They have to interact effectively, and obviously, it doesn't happen the first time that you establish all the processes. So it's a continuous improvement of not only improving the individual processes, but how they all integrate. And as I mentioned before, the workforce has to be involved, and they have to really adopt the ISO process. But again, that is all kind of the responsibility of management. Okay, the next slide, we're going to briefly go over the PDCA cycle and what it is. It's a continuous cycle which is really driven by the customer requirements, the organization, and the needs and expectations of interested parties. Now, on the right side, you see the ISO 9001 clauses. Now, I've listed all the clauses that are considered the required clauses in ISO. Now, I did not include the first three, which are basically an intro and definitions. Of included in the four clauses starting from 4 going through 10. Now, 4 is the context of the organization and also the needs and expectation of the interested parties. So this includes all the regulatory requirements and the internal, let's say, contacts, like for example, if you have to deal with a union and so on. So all of that now, with the customer requirement, drives the planning stage, which is number 6. Now, once the planning is completed, that now you go into the clause 7 and 8. So 7 is resources. So these are all the resources that are needed to produce the either service or product of your organization. And 8 is the operation. So what does it take to complete the work? Okay. Then once the service or products are being delivered to the customer, then there's a clause 9, which is called performance evaluation, which then looks at both internally at what you've accomplished, and then are there any defects? What are the issues involved? And also feeding into that are the customer feedback. This is very important because you can deliver a product that supposedly meets the requirements, but then the customer has some issues with it. So customer input is very important in number 9, which then you are looking at the results of that, doing a check, and then you go into clause 10 of improvement. And then you act on the improvement, and then it goes back into planning. So in effect, it's a continuous loop, and you can have, you actually will have parallel loops going on. So it's not like you're all in any particular clause. It's kind of an ongoing process, and you could cover many, many areas depending on the nature of your organization. But you can have many, many of those cycles running in parallel. Okay, next slide, please. All right, I guess the next topic would be, how do you achieve ISO certification? What do you have to do to get there? Okay. So first, before anything, you have to define your QMS and implement your QMS to meet the requirements of ISO. So once you've kind of established your processes, you then implement those processes for some time. And then once you feel that you have it's a functional, that you can pretty much meet the ISO requirements, then you select and hire a certification body to perform the audit and ultimately the certification. Now, also, there are a number of registrars that are available, and picking the right one is very important. Preferably, you should pick one that is familiar with the product lines that you're involved in or the service that you provide. And also, hopefully, ideally, it should be local to your company to reduce the certification costs. And the next Next slide, please. Okay. Before you call the registrar in, you should perform an internal audit to check your processes that you indeed comply with the QMS and your records. Now, that is an important part of ISO, is that you have to perform an internal audit, whether you use your own people or you hire external personnel to do that. In either case, that has to be completed prior to calling in the registrar. Management also has to conduct a formal review of the QMS processes and to show that there are decisions made as part of the review to make improvements of the ISO process. Now, also showing that you can apply corrective action to some root cause of some problems, and the important part is to document the resolution of, why and are you doing this, and what are you doing with that? It's very important that this be clearly documented. So once you think that you're ready for certification, there are two stages that you have to go through. It's basically, the stage one is it's a shorter review where the auditor comes in, goes through all of your reviews, all of your inputs, your processes, and determines that whether you are ready to go to stage two, which is a really full-blown audit that you right, and then the next time he comes back, it depends, it could be within a few weeks or a month, to go through stage two, whereby all of your documents, records, and practices are being reviewed to make sure that you're complying with ISO requirements. At that point, there are probably action items which you're expected to correct. And once he's satisfied that all of the open items are corrected, you will be granted the certification, and you'll receive a nice plaque that you can hang in the lobby or wherever you like to. Okay, once you get the certification, it's important that you maintain that process. It's not enough to get certification and then you say, oh, okay, well, now we can go back to our original ways and do what we were doing before. No. Every year you have to go through an audit, and the auditor will come back every year to make sure that you are following your internal processes, and he will rely very heavily on an internal audit, because if your internal audit is complete and detailed, it will be a lot easier, because then you will see that yes, you are indeed watching very closely your internal processes, QMS. And obviously, the documents, whatever documents are required for your business, they have to be maintained. And very important, the records to be up to date. And like I said, records are very, very critical, not only to meet the ISO audit, but for your own improvement. And yes, there's quite a bit of records, and there's a lot of data that you have to deal with. We'll see how we can now make it a lot easier on the organization to deal with this data. And I mentioned before that yes, to maintain your ISO certification, you have to have a yearly audit. Okay, now I'm just going to talk introduce really the QDMS tool, which I already mentioned before. Uh, what it does is really, it's not really required, because yeah, you can have all of your documents and data on paper, or your records could be on paper, but managing that is extremely difficult, because now you have to know where it is, you have to demonstrate it to the auditor, and also you have to use the data internally. So QDMS really offers the capability to use the data and then automatically manage all your systems. Uh, and there will be a short demonstration of the tool. But in effect, it really makes your life not only to maintain your certification, but to manage your business a lot easier, because it does a lot of the work for you. So it does support all of the ISO, various ISO standards. Um, and it really now, because it's maintained on an Oracle database, now you're really eliminating all the dependency on the individuals, whether the individuals are keeping the data, how they're using the data. So basically, it takes that away uh, it takes away the dependency on individuals, and it centralizes all of that information uh, on that Oracle database. And it's very modular. So it covers all aspects of ISO. But if your organization does not need all of the modules that it provides, you can certainly acquire the modules that you need for your business. As I mentioned before, it's maintained in a single database, so that when the auditor comes in, you don't have to search for the data that he's looking for. It's all right there. Um, and it makes it extremely easy uh, to obtain and to provide all the data, and it will give the auditor assurance that you have all of that information under control. It's scalable to all the support all business sizes, from the very smallest to the very largest. It can certainly support that. And it's very flexible, whether it's operating on a cloud or on a local server. That's really your decision. What meets the requirement of your, uh, let's say, your internal IT department. And also, it has a mobile app that works with both iOS and Android. And as Kevin mentioned before, it has very positive references from a number of international corporations. Okay, slide. So basically, as a conclusion, as I mentioned before, ISO is used really throughout the world, and it has adopted uh, other standards that are based on ISO 9001, but are tailored to the particular requirements. And there's really high level of confidence right now uh, in ISO that it is an important tool to improve your quality and obviously customer satisfaction. And it offers ISO 9001 and a lot of flexibility in creating the QMS. Nobody's going to tell you exactly what to do, because it really is dependent on your business and to make your business work more effectively and efficiently. So what is very important is that management has to be involved, because in the older standard, there was a management representative that was kind of in charge of ISO, but now that position has been dropped because now all of the responsibility of ISO rests with top management. Also, there's a risk-based thinking, which has been introduced in the 2015 standard, which you have to look at identify level risks. So that's something that need to be addressed. And that's again part of your continuous process of improvement is how do you now deal with potential risks? You want to really know ahead of time what's really could really affect your business. And performance monitoring is there's more emphasis on that is making sure that your performance meets the customer requirements, your internal requirements, regulatory requirements, and that is continuously being monitored. And I think I've completed my presentation.
And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, please continue.
No, I was just going to introduce that, QDMS is really an ideal tool to support an ISO quality management system. So I guess I'll let you continue and talk about it.
Thank you very much, Alex. Much appreciated. Great insights as always. We all have a lot to learn about ISO 9001, whether we have ISO 9001 certification or whether we are getting ready to be certified. Great insights. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Alex, please save it up because our Q&A session is coming up. So we may have some questions for you from our attendees. So if you don't mind, we'll be happy if you can address those.
Sure.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. So I just got back the microphone. So let's just continue our webinar as planned then. So let me talk a little bit about QDMS. Just like Alex mentioned, so ISO 9001 has certain requirements to be compliant. And for this compliance, we have a tool for you called QDMS. QDMS is a quality risk and compliance management system. And we'll be showing you how you can comply with ISO 9001 in a digital environment. Even though ISO does not require that you can comply on paper or in a digital environment, we recommend a digital environment, and we like to present you QDMS for this reason. So let's go over it a little bit, and then I'll hand it over to Sam so we can also show you a live demo in a brief sense. QDMS is an integrated quality management system, and it is ready to handle quality assurance as well as quality control operations that you may be running at your organization on a daily basis. In addition to ISO 9001, with the help of QDMS, you can comply with ISO 14001, ISO 27001, and many other requirements. So that is actually pretty flexible. It has a web-based architecture, meaning once you have QDMS in your system, you can access the software from anywhere, wherever you are in the world. You can access the information that you like. It has great integration capability, and also security features are available for QDMS so that you can have the secure environment for you to manage your quality and QMS related information. QDMS is user-friendly and it's easy to use. Once we deploy QDMS, you don't need any consultants or consultancy services. You can just manage it based on our training that we provide you. So it's pretty straightforward and user-friendly. It also has email notifications available, so any actions that you need to take, the system reminds you via email, and you'll be notified. In a sense, when you look at the system, it lowers possibility of human errors. It reduces the cost of any IT support activities. Also, QDMS improves internal communication among departments, and most of all, it also increases your relationship levels with your customers because you have an established system based on ISO 9001, and QDMS will be helping you running the system in a digital environment. In terms of technical details, it is 100% web-based. QDMS is ready to work on cloud as well as on-premise servers, meaning you can access the system from any location that you may be at. There is mobile app available, so you can access the information also with your mobile device, maybe your smartphone, maybe your tablet that is also available. And the architecture that we have in QDMS is ready to talk to any system that you have at your organization. Could be your ERP system, could be your MES system, any other ready-made systems that you're running in your organization. QDMS is ready to work with that. Let's talk about some of the modules available in QDMS in association with ISO 9001. Just like Alex mentioned earlier, everything starts with documentation, right? So our policies, procedures, however we are running our operations, that needs to be documented. We need to write it down how we are doing things, how we are doing our work basically. And that requires heavy document management. So if you deploy ISO 9001, if you are in the first year, you may have limited number of documents. So you're okay. How about following years? What if you have different versions, different policies and procedures coming up live? So document management becomes more and more difficult from the quality and compliance point of view. So with the help of quality and control document management module, QDMS helps you manage all your documents in a controlled environment. Everything is permission based. Every single user has certain permissions to access the system, and documents are also available permission by permission. If I'm working in sales department, I may not be allowed to see policies and procedures in production department, for example. So all these permissions are available to set in QDMS system. Also, there is customer complaint module available to handle and process customer complaints. In addition, we have correction and non-conformity management module available. Also, audit management module is available. Just like Alex mentioned earlier, audit management is an important part of ISO 9001 system that you have at your organization. Meaning, sometimes we need to conduct internal audits within our organization. So marketing team members may be auditing production department, production team members may be auditing sales department. So this kind of cross-functioning audits will be very helpful to improve certain processes. It's very helpful for continuous improvement. So audit management can be managed with our audit management module, and you can document it. And there is also a survey module and training module is available, so you can manage your customer surveys in the system, and you can link it to correction module if there is a need. You can also manage and document your training activities, your certificates, your training assignments, your training requests to have training with the approval of your superiors can be managed in training modules. And we have calibration module available to help you manage your device and machinery calibration needs. Some devices need to be calibrated once in a month. Some of them needs to be calibrated once in 3 months. Some of them needs to be calibrated once in a year. Depends on the device, depends on the sensibility and the need. You can manage the calibration processes with the reminders, with the person in charge of that certain device set in this module in electronic environment. And with ISO 9001-2015, risk management becomes a mandatory task. So you can also manage your risk with our available risk management modules. Could be a process risk management module, could be IT asset risk management module, or could be health and safety risk management module. Is ready to help you for the ISO 9001 compliance requirements. In terms of industries that we have been working with QDMS, it's actually vertical free. We have many different customers. We have about 1,000 customers already globally using QDMS quality risk and compliance management software. Some of our customers are in manufacturing industry, some of them in construction industry, some of them in service industry, finance industry, logistics industry, as you see on the screen. So there are many different industries using QDMS for ISO 9001 and other quality and management standard requirements. And just like Alex mentioned earlier, ISO 9001 is the really holy grail of all the standards that we have available in the market. And most of our customers comply ISO 9001. And on top of ISO 9001, in addition to it, most of our customers comply with other standards as well. Some of them ISO 50,000, some of them ISO 14,000. And if you're in food industry, SQF and BRC are also available in QDMS for you to comply in these environments. So in a nutshell, that is what QDMS does, our quality risk and compliance management system. So what I like to do is that I like to hand it over to Sam Watt. He's a pre-sales software engineer at Bimser International, and he'll be showing you QDMS in a nutshell, in a general sense, and you'll have a basic sense of QDMS, how it looks, how it runs, and if you have, of course, more questions, or if you like to have questions later on, you can always contact us. Sam, are you ready to take over?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay. Please take it away.
Anytime. Thank you very much. Let's get started. So this is how it looks like after you log into QDMS, our quality risk and compliance management system. You can find all the pending tasks and requests for approval are on your home screen. So you can click on it and get a quick connection to those requests. And on your top left, you can find the main menu of all the of QDMS. You can find all the available modules here under this main menu. And let me show you the control document management module. So right here, you can upload all the documents, for example, like your procedure, SOP, and so on, under this module. And on your left, you can find a nice looking folder tree. And all the documents sitting under this particular folder will be on your right of your screen. So you can click into it and start browsing the content of your document. After deploying the QDMS to your cloud server or on-premise server, you can browse the content of your document in the built-in browser of QDMS. And under this document info tab, you can find the basic information of your document, and you can get back to the previous version of your document right here under this revision info tab. And now QDMS is pulling out all the previous version that we have for this particular document. And then we can find the revision number as known as the version number, also the revision reason and the description of the amendment or the revision. So you can get back to the original version of your document, and it's like this, which will show on your screen. And under this permission tab, you can find what kind of permission that has been granted to different users, group, or department. Also, you can keep tracking on the action that have been taken by the users with their date, time, and also the username, and also the action type as well. In this module, of course, you can browse the content of your document or upload the document. Also, furthermore, you can revise the document or delete the document in the system, or manage the folder structure of your folders according to your need. Then we can go to the complaints module, where we can have the feedback internally, like from our colleague, worker, or employees, or externally, like from our subcontractor, vendor, or supplier. And in this module, it's now showing you all the complaints that we have in our company. And all the complaints, they're in different status, depends on their progress. So you can find some of them there in opened, reviewed, or final. And what you can file or what you can save in the system. So like you can choose of course, the customer name, and the creator and date of creation will be filled or updated by the system automatically. And you can enter the complaints detail and the description. Then you can assign a team to take care of this particular complaints. And this team has to file the first progress report. And if there's any action needed, like a corrective action, so you can define that while you're handling these complaints. If there's nothing wrong and the problem is solved, so you can close the case after you file the final report. And under this module, you can have the reporting tool and see which customer filed the most complaint, or you can use the advanced filter on your left in order to put some condition or configure the report that you're going to generate. So you can draw the graph, and it shows you all the data in a bar chart and also a table. You can export this report into Excel, PDF, or images for sharing with any responsible parties. And right here, we have a corrective action module, as known as CAPA module. So right here, QDMS is showing you all the corrective action record that we have in the system. And it's now coming up on your screen. Similar to the complaints module, they're in different status, like opened, planned, reviewed, follow-up, and result. So with using this module, so you can enter the corrective action results, non-conformity, and the detail of the non-conformity. Then this corrective action will be put into the workflow for approval. After the approval is granted by the approver, then we can have a solution team in order to take care of this particular corrective action. Then this team has to file the first progress report and have a root cause analysis. Then this team has to define the action that will be occurred in order to accomplish this corrective action. Okay, and then we can see if there is any follow-up action is needed before we close the case. Okay. And in the corrective action module, we have another reporting tool as well in order to help you to keep tracking on the performance of your company. So we can draw the graph and put the condition or some on your left with using the drop-down list or choosing the date in the calendar. Okay. And the last, that will be the audit module. So right here, we can create some audit planning for our company. So saying I'm not going to have a 2019 internal audit, then we can make some audit operation here. Okay. And for this audit planning, we can choose or define the audit date and the finish date, audit time. Also, choosing the workplace or the location of that this audit is going to take place at, and the auditor, and assign an auditee. Then we can save it, and the record will be saved and updated to the system. And the auditee will receive a notification on their home screen, which I just showed you in the beginning, and I'm going to show you again in a minute. And in this audit module, you can define some question as a reference for the auditor. So saying you're having an audit to the manufacturing department, so you can select some question as a reference that's about manufacturing, instead of some question about, for example, like logistic. Okay, And again, the auditee will receive the notification on their home screen like this. And you can use the audit module for auditing as internal use or external use. Like you can audit, of course, the employees or your colleague. And also you can do the audit to the supplier, vendor, or subcontractor as well. And it's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you. So let's go to our Q&A session. I'm going to change my screen in a minute. 1 second, please. All right, great. Right, I'm all set. I see that I have received some questions from our attendees in our chat box. In the chat box, let's see what kind of question that we have. So one of the questions actually is for you, Alex. So if you can address that'd be great. So to apply for ISO 9001 certification in the beginning, how much time do I need to spend operating ISO 9001 before applying for certification? Alex, I think it's a good question. In one of your slides, you mentioned that before applying for ISO 9001 certification, one needs to operate the system for a while. How long is that while?
Okay, that's a very good question. Generally, if we're a while would be probably several months, maybe up to 6 months would be a good time period. However, if you were pretty much compliant already with ISO prior to your decision to go for certification, then it doesn't have to be that long. So if you, let's say, assuming that you're starting from scratch, you don't have any processes, you don't have any procedures in place, and you started from scratch, then it's going to take obviously longer. And again, it all depends on the commitment of the management. If the manager makes it a high priority, you can certainly do it a lot faster. But if you're starting from scratch, I would say typically it would take, let's say a year to go through certification. But again, if you had a lot of the, maybe not 100% compliant, but if you were, let's say fairly compliant with ISO, and then you need just some fine tuning, I would say that it could take as little as maybe 3 months from the time you invite the registrar for your stage one.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Let me see, I have some other questions as well. One of the questions is, as for the QDMS software that you just demonstrated, do you also have a mobile app that we can use? Sam, would you like to address this? Do we have a mobile app?
Yes, sure. That's a very nice question. So yes, we have a mobile app. So it is available for, excuse me, and it is available for Android device and iOS device. So after deploying QDMS on your server, like on cloud server or on-premise server, you can use QDMS on your handheld device, like cell phone or tablet.
Thank you very much, Sam. Also, just for your information, we are presenting our contact information on the screen right now. So after this webinar, if you'd like to continue this conversation, or if you have any questions, please, you can send us an email, you can give us a call, and we will be happy to address your questions and work with you. Let me see if another question. I also have some other questions in the system. So that one is for the software. The question says, in terms of QDMS, do we need to buy all the modules that you presented, or we can buy just some of them? So I can address this question. So what happens is QDMS is a modular system, meaning you can pick and choose what module you like to have. Depends on what you're compliant with. That will be ISO 9001. That will be any other system, ISO 14000 or HPF, DRC, basically. So anything that you are compliant with, depends on what you are compliant. You can pick and choose what modules you like in QDMS. So that gives you the flexibility. Also, based on our experience and our observation, some of our customers, some things they like to keep it in a different environment. They don't want to keep everything in digital environment. Sometimes they just simply like to keep it on paper environment, for example, for some certain tasks that they don't have that much of interaction going on. So if you like to also go that route, that's also your choice. That's perfectly fine. But just to address this question, you can pick and choose what module you like. You can have document manager module, you can have corrective action, audit manager module, or customer complaint module. These are all available in the system. Modules work independently and also integratedly, basically in an integrated way. So if you pick and choose one module, that's also fine. If you like to get a couple of modules, that's also fine. And we'll make sure that they work together to make your quality management operations and compliance management operations easier. That's basically our job, to make your job easier in a digital environment while you comply. Let me see. I have another question. Looks like this question is for you, Alex, with regards to ISO 9001. What is the cost of certification for ISO 9001?
Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is the actual cost for the registrar. In other words, the internal costs to develop all the processes and the internal structure and so on. I'm not really including that. But to get the certification, as a matter of fact, I just had a few quotes recently for a middle-sized company. And that runs anywhere from roughly around, let's say, $5,000. This assumes that you're able to find and use a registrar which is local to your company. Obviously, if there's travel costs involved, that is separate. But a typical cost for a company of, let's say, 50 to 100 people would run about, let's say, $5,000. That includes both stage 1 and stage 2. And then there's some registration costs. But it's not a high cost. Obviously it's a yearly audit. The yearly audit is less than the initial audit. It runs maybe about half of the initial certification. So obviously, if your company is larger, then it's would be more expensive.
So it depends on the size of the company. It depends on the number of employees, for example.
Yes, and also the number of locations, the number of processes, the amount of data, and so on. So it really depends on the amount of time that the registrar has to spend to do the audit. But usually around 5,000 is reasonable.
I understand. So there is no one answer for this question, actually. There are many variables. The size of the company in terms of number of employees, the locations, the data that needs to be audited for certification purposes. Am I right?
Correct. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. It's good to know. So, all right. This is, I think, a good answer. And of course, if you have more questions and if you'd like to further this conversation, Alex's contact information is on the screen, and we can basically take it from there. Let me see my list of the questions. If I have anything else in the chat box, I'll just go over it quickly if I'm missing anything. I get one more question in my private chat box. Okay, so QDMS is QDMS able to work on cloud? Yes, yes, I can answer this. Yes, QDMS quality management system that we presented to you in a minute ago. It is ready to work on cloud as well as on-premise servers. So that is a yes, and can work on cloud. I have one final question for you, Alex, before we end our webinar. As for ISO 9001, what industries should use ISO 9001? Is it industry specific or any company in any industry can use it?
Just about any industry, and again, depending on the nature of the business, there are different ISOs, but ISO 9001 applies to all of the industries. And as an example, one of my customers was a one-man machine shop. And I asked him, why do you want to go for ISO certification? And his answer was, because a lot of my potential customers require me to be ISO certified. So yes, it can cover just about any industry.
I understand. Okay, so that's vertical free. And as for the benefits of ISO 9001, from my understanding, you recommend any company in any industry can actually benefit from its advantage.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Alex. Well, I think it's time to end our webinar here. I would like to thank you for your time, and also I'd like to thank you for your interest. We also got great questions from attendees in the chat box, in the private chat box, and also public chat box. That's been great. Much appreciated. Again, my name is Kevin Devecioglu from Bimser International, and we look forward to seeing you in our coming webinars. We'll be talking more about ISO 9001, also AS 9100 in coming months, and we'll be also addressing different compliance and quality management system in our coming webinar session. So we look forward to seeing you soon in our coming future webinars. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.